Most people think of the Vietnam War as being a guerrilla jungle war on the ground.
But the North Vietnamese also used the same guerrilla tactics in the air.
And to be frank, they were kicking our butts until one American maverick turned the tables.
So what was his plan? And how did he pull it off?
You're looking at a photo of Colonel Robin Olds, taken on the day of his most daring and brilliant mission. January 2nd, 1967, a squadron of state-of-the-art MiG-21s, the crown jewels of the North Vietnamese Air Force, ascend into deep cloud cover above the Phu Quien Air Base. Their target, a group of American F-105 bombers that's just been detected. Preston Stewart is a former Army lieutenant and popular podcaster. He says the specs of these two planes are key to this story.
The MiGs were faster, more maneuverable, and were used in more of an ambush setting.
And these MiGs are feasting on the American bombers every day.
At this time, the U.S. Air Force in Vietnam is getting destroyed. And the F-105 bombers are laden with these heavy bombs, so they're unable to outmaneuver the MiG-21 over the skies. Easy pickings for the MiG-21.
In fact, the F-105 was known as the lead sled. It was supposed to be protected by the nimble F-4 fighter, but those planes lacked radar jamming capability, making them defenseless from enemy ground fire.
They couldn't spend much time over North Vietnam. It was just a constant issue of trying to navigate these threats.
But today is different. As the North Vietnamese pilots drop out of the clouds, expecting a turkey shoot, they get hit with incoming. One by one, they're destroyed. In just 12 minutes, half of North Vietnam's fighter force is completely destroyed, all without a single U.S. casualty.
Another challenge for the U.S. was that we were fighting with one arm behind our back. Our rules of engagement didn't allow pilots to bomb the North Vietnamese airstrips.
It sounds crazy, but here's the thing. Chinese and Soviet advisors are working at these airstrips. And you had top brass back in Washington that's worried about hitting these communists and ratcheting up tensions even further. These airstrips were off limits, man.
So how did we pull off that comeback? Let's turn to our experts.
The weapon used to take out Vietnam's air power was quite simply the brain and cojones of Colonel Robin Olds.
Robin Olds was straight out of an action movie. He graduated from West Point in 1943, went straight into World War II, became a double ace, shot down at least 10 aircraft.
Olds develops an audacious plan called Operation Bolo. The Americans will disguise their own F-4 Phantoms as 105s, luring the eager, complacent enemy into an ambush.
We got MiGs right under us, right under us.
Commander Olds' plan is to fly at the same altitude as a bombing run. They're even going to use the same call signs and have the same radio frequency that a bombing run would have.
Remember, the F-4 is a badass fighter jet, but it has that Achilles heel: its inability to evade deadly surface-to-air missiles. Olds convinces the military to install some radar jammers used by the F-105s to thwart missiles fired at the F-4s. Not only does this make the F-4s less vulnerable to surface-to-air missiles, but the electronic signature put out by the jammers will make the F-4s appear as 105s to the North Vietnamese. Now the question becomes, in a straight-up dogfight, how does the F-4 match up against a MiG?
F-4s were much more of a closer match to the MiG-21s, and in a one-on-one fight, on level terms, if that ever exists, the F-4 had a good chance of taking the MiG-21s out.
The F-4 has one big advantage: firepower.
The MiG-21 has a 23mm cannon on it, whereas the F-4s, they have 8 missiles: the Sidewinder missile and the Sparrow missile. Having those 8 air-to-air missiles give the F-4 Phantom an advantage over the MiG-21 at the lower altitudes.
When it all goes down, the dogfight turns into a major victory.
Once they start that attack, it's game on.
In under 15 minutes, they're able to destroy 7 enemy MiGs.
The North Vietnamese Air Force, after the war, said that it was the worst day for their Air Force.
So a big shout out to Colonel Olds for devising Operation Bolo. It was an ingenious plan that took advantage of the predictability of the Vietnamese pilots.
That's right. Deception works best when your enemy's gotten a little bit lazy. And the moral of this story is, when you're exploiting your enemy's weaknesses, be careful not to reveal your own.